Hello everyone, my name is Maria Robinson and I am the Director of the Grid Deployment Office at the United States Department of Energy. Thank you to Citizens for Responsible Energy Solutions for having me today. National Clean Energy Week is such a great opportunity to discuss the bipartisan support for how the public and private sectors can collaborate to support clean energy innovation. At the Grid Deployment Office, we're focused on deploying energy solutions for a more reliable and affordable grid. We have major challenges ahead. Today, the American grid is facing the dual threat of aging infrastructure and severe weather events, which leave communities increasingly vulnerable to power outages and high energy prices. At its core, grid resilience means a grandfather in Arizona will be able to cool his home in deadly summer heat. A working mom in Georgia won't have to worry about her fridge of food and medicine spoiling and how to replace it. Small business owners in North Carolina won't suffer a power outage that will cause them to lose thousands of dollars in lost inventory. Fortunately, the Grid Deployment Office has more than $22 billion to make critical grid upgrades across the country, to make our grid infrastructure more reliable, to keep pace with rising demand, and to prepare to withstand extreme weather. While our office was created just 2 years ago, we have made a lot of progress to date. Through historic investments from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and Inflation Reduction Act, GDO's funding and mission represents an unprecedented opportunity to make a transformative investment in the power sector to upgrade America's transmission and distribution infrastructure to enable a more reliable and affordable grid. Let's talk about some of the major accomplishments we've seen in just the 2 years GDO has been in close partnership with states, tribes, and private industry. We've funded the largest direct investment in the grid in our nation's history that will allow for the addition of up to 67 gigawatts of clean energy, expanding our renewable energy capacity by nearly 20%. That's the equivalent of more than 30 Hoover dams. We've worked with the nation's hydroelectric industry to make the largest investment ever in non-federal water power production, with more than $500 million in support from the Department of Energy. And by 2031, we will support nearly 2,000 miles of new and upgraded transmission lines, which is 34 times the number of miles developed last year alone. We're hard at work today to partner with states, tribes, and private industry to expand upon these accomplishments. We know there is need for this across the country. In just one of our programs this year alone, we had an oversubscription rate of 858%, demonstrating the tremendous need for these types of grid investments across the country. And while we're thrilled to discuss our funding opportunities, we also recognize the need to support new transmission projects across the country and build them more quickly. Right now, it takes about 4 years on average to permit a new transmission project in the United States. In extreme cases, it can take over a decade. If we're going to build enough transmission to keep our grid reliable and hit our clean energy goals, that won't be fast enough. That's where GDO is using every tool we have to make sure we can permit efficiently so the private sector can build. This year, we finalized a rule to reform our permitting system, the Coordinated Interagency Transmission Authorizations and Permits Program, which is a mouthful, so we'd like to refer to it as CITAP. This rule makes DOE the lead agency for transmission projects and sets a 2-year deadline for the federal review process. The Clean Air Task Force estimates that roughly 66 years, let me say that again, 66 years of federal permitting time could have been avoided for electric transmission lines if CITAP had existed, been broadly implemented, and successfully executed between 2010 and 2020. While GDO is working incredibly hard to implement grid funding and improve our permitting system, we know that we cannot accomplish our goals on our own. We're actively collaborating with Congress, states, localities, private industry, and all sorts of stakeholders to make these critical investments. Prioritizing outreach early and often is key to GDO's mission, and we welcome continued feedback on how we can best make these investments to help communities across America. Our office is always open and willing to meet. Thank you again to everyone at National Clean Energy Week, especially Citizens for Responsible Energy Solutions, for your support to make a more reliable and affordable electric grid a reality in the United States.